The fluorescent lights hum a frequency that lives just under the skin. Los Angeles County Hospital, Emergency Department, 4:30 in the morning. The hour when the city breathes its slowest, when the only people awake are the ones who have no choice. The smell comes first, antiseptic layered over old blood, burnt coffee, the faint metallic tang of fear that never quite leaves. The air tastes recycled, pushed through filters that do their best but never quite win. Elena Voss moves through it like smoke. 34 years old, dark hair pulled back tight enough to ache, scrubs faded to a color that used to be blue. Her hands are steady as she restocks Trauma Bay 3 for the second time tonight. Gauze packs in rows of 6. Saline flushes lined by size. Pre-filled syringes, arranged in an order most nurses would call obsessive. She calls it prepared. No one's watching. No one ever watches. Down the hall, Dr. Jordan Blake breezes past without breaking stride, coffee in one hand, tablet in the other. 46 years old, and comfortable in the assumption that his presence alone constitutes leadership. Voss, we need warmed blankets in Bay 2. And someone left the med cart unlocked again. Not a question. Not even a request. Just an expectation that she'll handle it. The way she handles everything no one else wants to touch. Elena nods once. Doesn't speak. Adds it to the list she keeps running in the back of her mind, the one that never empties. She moves toward the supply closet. Her footsteps make no sound. At the nurse's station, Stephanie Chen leans close to Marcus Reed, charge nurse, 52, who's seen everything twice and believes in competence over conversation. Stephanie's 28, sharp, efficient, and deeply suspicious of anyone who doesn't perform their trauma for an audience. She's been here 6 months, Stephanie says, voice low but not quite low enough. Doesn't talk to anyone. Doesn't eat lunch with the team. It's weird. Marcus doesn't look up from his chart. She does her job. That's what matters. Barely. Stephanie's tone carries something between concern and judgment. I mean, she's competent, but she's not present. You know? Elena hears every word. She always does. You learn to hear everything when silence is your first language. She keeps moving. Trauma Bay 4 erupts in controlled chaos. A gunshot wound to the abdomen rolls in on a wave of noise. 2 paramedics, 1 resident, everyone talking over everyone else. The patient's screaming, blood soaking through the sheet, vitals scrolling across the monitor in numbers that keep dropping. Dr. Yuki Tanaka, 29 and still surprised every time the emergency is real, snaps into the rhythm he learned in textbooks. I need 2 large-bore IVs, type and cross. 4 units on standby. Elena's already there. Tourniquet placed, vein accessed, catheter threaded and secured before he finishes the sentence. Both lines patent, both taped clean. She steps back, silent, invisible again. Tanaka blinks, registers her presence half a second too late. Thanks. He doesn't meet her eyes. Across the bay, Stephanie watches through the window. Her frown deepens. Lucky guess, she murmurs to no one in particular. The patient stabilizes. The room empties. Elena wipes down the bed, resets the equipment, inventories. Is what needs replacing. Her hands move in patterns she doesn't think about anymore. Muscle memory carved so deep it's become autonomic. No one says good job. No one says anything. She doesn't expect them to. The locker room is empty at 6 in the morning. Elena sits on the bench, still in her scrubs, staring at the open locker in front of her. Inside, tucked behind an extra pair of shoes and a jacket she never wears, is a photograph. Creased at the edges, colors fading to sepia. 5 people in desert fatigues, dust on their faces, smiling like they believed they were immortal. An American flag patch visible on one shoulder, a medical insignia on another. She doesn't touch it, just looks. Her right hand rests on her knee, and without thinking, her thumb taps twice against her thigh. Tap, tap, a rhythm from another life, a signal that meant ready, that meant I'm here, that meant we're still alive. She closes the locker, stands, leaves. The photograph stays behind, untouched, the way it's been for 6 months. By 7, the day shift floods in, voices rising, the department shedding its night skin for something louder, brighter, more certain of itself. Elena fades into the background, restocking, cleaning, answering calls from floors that need transport or supplies, or someone to blame when things go wrong. Dr. Blake passes her in the hallway, doesn't slow. Voss, pharmacy called. I need someone to verify the narc count. I'll handle it, she says. Her voice is quiet, even, the kind of voice that doesn't demand to be remembered. Blake's already gone. Stephanie catches her near the med room. You ever take a break? Elena glances at her. When it's slow. It's never slow. Then I guess not. Stephanie studies her, head tilted, like she's trying to solve an equation that doesn't balance. Where'd you work before here? Around. That's not an answer. Elena meets her eyes, steady, unrevealing. It's the one I'm giving. She walks away before the silence becomes a conversation. The ambulance bay doors reflect the sunrise in fractured gold, dust motes turning slow circles in the early light. Elena stands near the glass, hands in her pockets, watching the street beyond. Her breath fogs the window. For a moment, the emergency department falls away. She's somewhere else. Desert night, dust hanging in the air thick enough to choke on, turning the stars into smudges of white. The sound of rotors growing louder, closer, the downdraft throwing sand against her face like needles. A voice crackles through the radio, young and trying not to sound terrified. Viper 6, this is Dustoff 2, 3 minutes out. How copy? Her own voice, steadier than it has any right to be. Copy, Dustoff 2. LZ is cold, 4 critical, 2 urgent. Prioritize the chest trauma. Hands covered in blood that isn't hers. The metallic taste of adrenaline at the back of her throat. The knowledge that 3 minutes is a lifetime when someone's dying in front of you. The wail of a siren pulls her back. Elena blinks. The desert disappears. She's standing in Los Angeles, 7:40 on a Thursday morning, and the only dust is the kind that collects on windowsills. A paramedic rig pulls up fast, lights still stinning. The doors fly open, and paramedic Jones, 36, 2 decades of street medicine etched into the lines around his eyes, rolls out a stretcher at speed. 52-year-old male suspected MI, pressures dropping. We lost a line en route. Elena moves before anyone else registers the words. She's at the stretcher in 3 strides, eyes scanning vitals, skin color, the particular way the patient's struggling to breathe. 2 seconds. That's all it takes. Did he respond to nitro? Her voice cuts through the noise, calm, precise. Jones looks at her, surprised she's speaking at all. Yeah, briefly. Then his BP tanked. Right-sided MI. Don't give him any more nitro or you'll bottom him out completely. Dr. Blake appears from the trauma bay, irritation already forming around his mouth. Voss, we'll take it from here. She steps back, silent, invisible again. But Jones is still looking at her, head tilted, processing. How'd you know it was right-sided? Elena doesn't answer. She's already walking away, disappearing into the flow of the department like she was never there at all. The supply closet smells like cardboard and sterile plastic. Elena stands in front of the shelving, reorganizing med kits that don't need reorganizing. Her hands move in a specific sequence, pulling items, arranging them in an order that makes sense to no one but her. Tourniquet, hemostatic gauze, chest seal, nasopharyngeal airway. She doesn't realize she's building a combat trauma kit. Not a civilian one. The kind you pack when the nearest hospital is a helicopter ride away, and the helicopter might not make it. Stephanie walks past, glances through the open door, slows, watches for a moment, frowns. She finds Marcus at the nurse's station. She organizes supplies like she's prepping for a war zone. Marcus doesn't look up. Maybe she worked somewhere rough before. Maybe. But Stephanie's tone says she doesn't believe it. The break room is empty except for the hum of the vending machine and the smell of coffee that's been sitting too long. Elena pours herself a cup anyway, black, no sugar. She doesn't sit, just stands by the counter staring at nothing. David Ortiz pushes through the door, 43, calm in the way people get when they've seen enough to stop being surprised. He drops into a chair, pulls out his phone, scrolls without interest. You military? Elena freezes, just for a heartbeat. Just long enough. Why? David shrugs, still looking at his phone. You stand like my brother. He was Army, medic. Spent 2 tours in Iraq. Got that same, posture. I'm not military. She leaves before he can ask anything else. David watches her go. His frown deepens. He sets his phone down, stares at the door she just walked through. Yeah, he says quietly to the empty room. Sure you're not. Later, during a lull that won't last, Elena finds herself in the stairwell between the 2nd and 3rd floors. It's the quietest place in the hospital. the kind of space people forget exists. She sits on the steps, elbows on her knees, head down. Her right hand moves to her left wrist, fingers tracing a scar she usually keeps covered. Thin, precise, surgical. The kind you get from shrapnel when you're lucky enough that it misses everything vital. She closes her eyes. The sound of rotors, the smell of burning fuel, sand in her teeth, voices shouting over the noise, calling for more hands. Anne's, more time, more of everything they don't have. Her own voice, hoarse from screaming orders. I need pressure on that bleeder. Get me another unit. Someone tell me his pressure. And then the explosion. The world flipping sideways, metal shrieking, the sudden, terrible silence after. She opens her eyes. The stairwell is cold and fluorescent and empty. Her hands are shaking. She forces them still. By noon, the department is drowning. 3 car accidents, 2 overdoses, a construction injury, and a dialysis patient in flash pulmonary edema. Every bed full, every nurse running. Monitors screaming from 6 directions at once. Elena moves through it like water, efficient, precise, always exactly where she needs to be. She starts a difficult IV on the first try when 2 other nurses have failed. Catches a medication error before it reaches the patient. Notices an EKG change no one else sees and flags the physician before the patient codes. No one says thank you. No one notices, except Dr. Tanaka. He's watching her now, has been since the intubation yesterday. There's something in the way she moves, the way her hands never hesitate, the way she assesses a patient in seconds and just knows. It doesn't fit. He corners Marcus near the medroom. Where did Voss train? Marcus shrugs. She didn't say. Why? Because she's too good. No one's that fast unless they've worked high-volume trauma for years. And she's doing floor nursing. Maybe she likes it simple. Tanaka shakes his head. No one that skilled chooses simple. The double doors explode inward at 13:47, and the carefully controlled chaos of a normal Thursday afternoon detonates into something else entirely. 4 stretchers, paramedics shouting over each other, the acrid smell of gasoline and burnt rubber, multi-vehicle pileup on the 101, chain reaction, metal folded into metal. Lives compressed into the space between heartbeats. Dr. Blake moves to the center of the bay, trying to coordinate, voice rising to cut through the noise. Tanaka, take the head trauma. Chen, I need a line on the femur fracture. Ortiz, get respiratory down here now. Too many voices, too many alarms. The rhythm fractures before it even starts. Stretcher 3 holds a woman, mid-30s, unconscious, skin pale as old paper. Her chest rises wrong, shallow, uneven. The kind of breathing that means the body's starting to forget how. Stephanie's at her side, trying for IV access, missing once, twice, the vein collapsing under the catheter. Damn it, I can't get it. Dr. Tanaka abandons the first patient, moves to help. Pupils? Stephanie checks and her face goes white. Unequal, left is blown. She's herniating. Tanaka reaches for the intubation kit, but his hands are shaking. Just slightly, just enough. He's good, but he's young. And there are too many people dying at once. We need to tube her now. He preps the laryngoscope, positions himself. But the woman's oxygen saturation is already falling. 92, 89, 85. The monitor alarm cuts through everything else, high and insistent and unforgiving. Dr. Blake is still trying to manage the other patients, barking orders that get lost in the noise. Across the room, Elena is restocking a cart, hands moving on autopilot, mind somewhere else. Then she hears it, the specific, expressive pitch of that alarm, the particular quality of panic in Tanaka's breathing. She looks up, sees the woman's chest, the angle of her neck, the dilated pupil, the saturation spiraling down. 82, 79. Her body moves before her brain approves it. She's at the bedside in 4 strides, sliding between Stephanie and the monitor. Her voice comes out level, calm, carrying the kind of authority that doesn't ask permission. Step back. Tanaka looks up confused, still holding the laryngoscope. What? Step back. Now. He does. Something in her tone makes it impossible not to. Elena doesn't wait for questions. Her hands move to the woman's airway, positioning the head with precision that looks effortless but isn't. Jaw thrust, head tilt. She checks the airway, clears it, grabs the bag valve mask and seals it perfectly on the first try. 2 breaths. Smooth. Controlled. The woman's chest rises. The saturation climbs. 87, 90. Elena's voice stays flat, clinical, the tone of someone who's done this 1,000 times under worse conditions. Get me a 7.5 ET tube, stylet, and a 10cc syringe. Stephanie just stares. Now. Stephanie moves. Elena preps the tube with movements so efficient they look choreographed. Positions the laryngoscope, visualizes the vocal cords in one smooth motion. No hesitation, no second guessing. The tube slides in like it was always meant to be there, cuff inflated. Secured. 2 breaths delivered. She listens. Bilateral breath sounds. Equal. Clear. The saturation hits 94, 96, 98. The alarm silences. The room goes quiet in a way that has nothing to do with sound. Dr. Tanaka is staring at her like she just appeared out of nowhere. Who the hell are you? Elena steps back, face neutral, hands steady. She doesn't answer. Dr. Blake arrives 30 seconds too late, scanning the scene, trying to catch up. What happened? Tanaka doesn't look away from Elena. She just intubated in under 30 seconds. Perfect placement. No visualization issues. I've seen attendings take longer. Blake turns to Elena, and for the first time in 6 months, he's really looking at her. You're not certified for advanced airways. Elena meets his eyes. Her voice is quiet, but there's steel underneath. She was herniating. You want to file a complaint, or you want to save her life? Silence. Blake doesn't have an answer. Elena walks away. The room parts for her without realizing it. But everyone is watching now. The invisible woman just became impossible to ignore. In the hallway, Stephanie catches up, breathless, still holding the stylet she never handed over. Where did you learn to do that? Elena doesn't slow. I read a lot. That's not an answer. It's the one you're getting. Stephanie stops walking, watches Elena disappear around the corner. Her mind is racing. Trying to reconcile the quiet floor nurse who never speaks with the person who just intubated a crashing patient like it was nothing. It doesn't fit. None of it fits. David finds Marcus near the med room. You see that? Marcus nods slowly. Yeah. That wasn't beginner's luck. No, it wasn't. They stand there for a moment, both thinking the same thing, neither saying it out loud. Dr. Tanaka pulls up Elena's employee file on the e-computer. It's sparse. Previous employment listed as County Hospital, Northern California, no specifics. Nursing degree, valid license, basic certifications. Nothing that explains what he just saw. He stares at the screen, then he closes it, but the question stays. In the stairwell, Elena sits on the steps, head in her hands, breathing hard. Her body is shaking now, the adrenaline catching up, the muscle memory dragging her backward into a place she spent 6 months trying to escape. She can still feel the tube in her hands, still hear the monitor alarm, still see the patient's face, pale and slipping away. She saved her, but saving people is what got her here in the first place. She closes her eyes and counts her breaths until the shaking stops. Then she stands, smooths her scrubs, goes back to work. Because that's what you do. You keep moving. You don't stop. Stopping means remembering, and remembering means falling apart. The afternoon stretches thin and tense, the department still processing what happened in Trauma Bay 3. Elena has returned to her usual rhythm, restocking, transporting, invisible again. But the eyes that follow her now carry questions that weren't there this morning. She's charting at the nurse's station when the double doors open at 15:20. A stretcher rolls in, paramedics flanking it, moving with the controlled urgency that means serious but stable. The man on the stretcher is late 40s, pale, sweating through his shirt, one hand pressed against his chest like he's trying to hold something inside. Paramedic Jones is back, running through his report as they move. 57-year-old male, crushing substernal chest pain, radiating to the left arm. Onset 30 minutes ago. Vitals stable, but he's diaphoretic and looks like hell. Dr. Blake intercepts them at the day entrance. Get him into Bay 2. 12 lead, troponin, full cardiac panel. Let's move. The stretcher rolls past the station. Elena keeps her head down, pen moving across the chart, writing notes she won't remember later. Then the man sees her. His eyes widen. His breath catches, and it's not from the pain in his chest. Captain? Elena's pen stops. The word lands like a physical blow. The man tries to sit up, fighting against the paramedic's hand on his shoulder. His voice comes out hoarse, disbelieving, desperate. "Captain Voss, oh my God, you're alive?" The hallway goes silent. Every conversation stops. Every head turns. Stephanie, David, Marcus, Dr. Blake, Dr. Tanaka. All of them staring now, watching Elena's face drain of color, watching her freeze in place, like someone just pulled the ground out from under her. The man is still talking, words tumbling over each other. "It's me, Sergeant Rains, from the 54th Forward Surgical, Kandahar, 2012. Dr. Tanaka moves toward the stretcher, trying to regain control. "Sir, you need to stay calm. We're going to take care of you." But Rains ignores him completely, eyes locked on Elena. "We thought you were dead. The convoy, the IED outside Kabul, they told us you didn't make it out," they said. Elena's voice comes out flat, carefully controlled. "You're mistaken." "No." Rains shakes his head. Emphatic. "Certain." "No, ma'am, I'm not. You saved my life. Shrapnel to the femoral artery. I was bleeding out in the dirt, and you held pressure for 40 minutes until the medevac arrived. You told me." His voice cracks. "You told me. You're not dying today, Rains. Not on my watch." He's crying now, tears cutting through the sweat on his face. "I still have the scar. I named my daughter after you." Stephanie takes a step closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "Captain?" Elena's hands are shaking. She presses them flat against the desk, trying to make them stop, trying to hold herself together through sheer force of will. Dr. Blake is staring at her like he's never seen her before. "Voss!" Elena doesn't answer. She turns and walks, fast. Not running, but close. The stairwell door slams behind her. Rains is still calling after her. "Captain, please!" Marcus catches the stretcher before it can follow. "Sir, we need to focus on you right now. We're having a heart attack. We need to get you stabilized." But Rains isn't listening. He's staring at the door Elena disappeared through, confusion and relief and grief all tangled together on his face. "She's alive. I can't believe she's alive." In the stairwell, Elena makes it down half a flight before her legs give out. She sits hard on the steps, back against the wall, hands pressed over her face. Her breathing is too fast, shallow, the edges of her vision going dark. She forces herself to slow down. Counts. 4 in. Hold. 6 out. The door above her opens. Footsteps descend. She knows without looking that it's Marcus. "Elena." She doesn't move her hands. "Don't." "Is it true?" Silence. "Were you military?" "I'm a nurse." Her voice is muffled behind her palms. "That's all I am now." "That man just called you captain." "That man is confused and having a cardiac event." The words come out sharp, defensive, cracking at the edges. He doesn't know what he's saying. Marcus sits down beside her, careful to leave space between them. His voice is quiet, patient, the tone of someone who's good at waiting. "Elena, I need to know if there's something in your background I should be aware of." She finally lowers her hands. Her eyes are dry, but only barely. "There's nothing you need to know. If you have medical training beyond what's in your file, I don't. That intubation today says otherwise." Elena stands abruptly, and Marcus doesn't try to stop her. She looks down at him, and for just a moment, the mask slips. He sees exhaustion, grief, something that looks like terror. "I did my job. I saved a patient. That's what you hired me to do." Her voice is steady now, controlled, every word chosen carefully. "The rest is none of your business." She walks up the stairs, past him, back toward the noise and fluorescent light and the questions she can't afford to answer. Marcus sits alone in the stairwell, staring at the wall. The department has fractured into whispered conversations. Stephanie and David are huddled near the supply room. Dr. Tanaka is at a computer, searching for something he won't find. Dr. Blake is standing in the middle of the hallway, looking lost. When Elena emerges from the stairwell, the conversations stop. Everyone watches her walk to the nurse's station, pick up her abandoned pen, and continue charting like nothing happened. But her hands are still shaking, and everyone sees it. Stephanie approaches slowly, cautiously, like Elena might bolt again. "Hey." Elena doesn't look up. "I'm fine." "You don't look fine." "I'm working. That's what matters." Elena, I said I'm fine. The snap in her voice makes Stephanie step back. They stand there in tense silence until the overhead speaker crackles to life. All available personnel to the ambulance bay. Mass casualty incident. Repeat, mass casualty. The department shifts instantly, the personal dissolving into the professional. Bodies move toward the doors. Phones ring. Radios squawk. Elena stands. Her hands have stopped shaking. Whatever just broke open, she'll deal with it later. Right now, people need help. And that's the only thing she knows how to do. The ambulance bay fills with noise before the first patient even arrives. Sirens layering over each other, radios crackling, the rising pitch of voices preparing for something no one's ready for. City bus versus delivery truck. Intersection collapse. 12 confirmed victims. More still being extracted. The triage nurse is already setting up color-coded zones. Red, yellow, green, black. The brutal math of mass casualty. Dr. Blake stands at the center, trying to organize, but his voice gets lost in the chaos. I need a count. How many incoming? What's the ETA? The first ambulance screams in. Doors fly open. Paramedics shouting. A teenager on a backboard, face covered in blood, screaming for his mother. Then another rig. And another. The department floods with bodies, stretchers, the copper smell of blood mixing with diesel fuel and panic. Monitors shriek. Voices overlap. Everyone moving too fast and not fast enough at the same time. Stephanie is trying to get IV access on a woman with a compound tib-fib fracture. David is bagging a patient who isn't breathing on his own. Dr. Tanaka is doing compressions on a kid in traumatic arrest. Sweat already pouring down his face. Dr. Blake is drowning. I need more hands. Where's respiratory? Someone get me another line. Elena walks into the center of it. She doesn't ask permission, doesn't wait for orders. She sees the whole scene in a single sweep. Bay 1, tension pneumothorax, trachea deviated, respiratory distress climbing toward arrest. Bay 2, uncontrolled hemorrhage from groin, pressure inadequate, patient going shocky. Bay 3, traumatic arrest, shockable rhythm on the monitor, compressions ineffective. Her voice cuts through everything. Blake, stop triaging green tags. Focus on red and black. Everyone else can wait. Dr. Blake spins toward her. Excuse me? You heard me. Elena moves to Bay 1 without waiting for a response. Ortiz, grab a 14-gauge needle and decompress that pneumo now. Stephanie, forget the IV, pack that groin wound and get direct pressure, skin to skin if you have to. She's at the code in Bay 3 before anyone can process what's happening. Checks the monitor. Ventricular fibrillation. Checks the compressions. Too shallow. Wrong hand placement. Stop. Her voice is absolute. Dr. Tanaka freezes mid-compression. What? You're compressing too high. You're not getting flow. She repositions his hands, fast, precise. Here, 2 inches deep, 120 per minute. Don't stop. She reaches for the defibrillator. Charge to 200. Tanaka stammers. You can't just charge it. He does. Elena takes the paddles, positions them exactly. Clear. Everyone steps back. The shock delivers with a heavy thump. The kid's body jerks. Monitor shows flatline. Resume compressions. Push epi, 1 milligram IV, move. Her hands are already assessing the next patient while she talks. Airway patent. Breath sounds present. Radial pulse weak but palpable. She moves to Bay 2. Stephanie is struggling with the groin bleed. Hands slipping in blood. Pressure not holding. I can't get it to stop. Elena doesn't hesitate. She pushes Stephanie's hands aside, finds the femoral artery by feel, and applies pressure exactly where it needs to be. The bleeding slows, stops. Hold here. Don't let go. Someone get me 4 units ONEG and an OR ready now. She's not asking. She's commanding, and everyone is obeying. Dr. Blake stands frozen, watching a floor nurse run his entire trauma bay like she's done it 1,000 times before. Watching her move between patients with a speed and precision that doesn't exist outside combat medicine or level 1 trauma centers. This isn't luck. This isn't training. This is experience. The kind you don't get in a county hospital in Northern California. Outside, a sound builds. Low at first, then unmistakable. Rotors. Heavy, rhythmic, the deep thrum of military-grade helicopters. Everyone who's not actively saving a life turns toward the windows. A Black Hawk descends into the hospital parking lot, downdraft throwing debris in all directions, the roar drowning out every other sound. It touches down hard, and the side door opens before the skids fully settle. Two figures step out. Battle dress uniforms, ranks visible, even from a distance. They move with the kind of purpose that doesn't slow for civilians. Marcus meets them at the entrance. "You can't land here. This is a hospital." The lead officer doesn't break stride. "Where is Captain Elena Voss?" Marcus stops cold. "What? Captain Voss. Army Medical Corps. I was told she works here." The officer is a woman, 50s, silver oak leaves on her collar, eyes that have seen too much and forgotten none of it. Colonel Sarah Marks. Marcus struggles to find words. She's in trauma right now. "Take me to her. It's not a request." Inside the trauma bay, Elena is still running the code. The kid's heart rhythm has shifted. Sinus tachycardia. Thready, but present. He's back. Get him to CT, full trauma series, and someone notify surgery. "Captain Voss." Elena freezes. That voice, that rank structure, that tone. She turns slowly. Colonel Marks stands in the doorway. Uniform perfect, expression unreadable. The trauma bay goes silent. Every eye shifts between the colonel and Elena. "Colonel." Elena's voice comes out flat, carefully empty. "Captain." Marks steps inside, boots echoing on the tile. "We need to talk. I'm not active duty." "Your IRR status says otherwise." Elena's jaw tightens. "I left. You went dark. There's a difference." Marks holds up a tablet. "You're still listed as individual ready reserve, which means when the Army needs you, you answer." Dr. Blake finally finds his voice. "Excuse me, this is my emergency department." Marks doesn't even glance at him. Captain Voss is a board-certified trauma surgeon, triple specialty, emergency medicine, trauma surgery, critical care. She ran a forward surgical team in Kandahar for 3 years and logged over 300 combat saves under fire. Stephanie's face goes white. "Surgeon?" Marks continues, relentless. 2 bronze stars, 1 silver star, honorable discharge following traumatic incident, medical separation. She finally looks at Blake. "And she's been working as a floor nurse in your hospital for 6 months because no one bothered to look past the resume she gave you." The silence is deafening. Elena closes her eyes. "I can't. There's a natural disaster 2 hours south. Earthquake, 6.7. Field hospital only. No power, no backup. You're the most experienced trauma surgeon within reach. Find someone else." There is no one else. Elena looks at the kid on the stretcher, still breathing because she wouldn't let him die. Looks at the organized chaos around her, the patients who are alive because she stepped in. She thinks about running, about refusing. But she's never been good at walking away when people need help. That's the problem. That's always been the problem. She exhales slowly. "Give me 2 minutes." Marks nods. Clock's running. Elena strips off her gloves, walks toward the locker room. Behind her, the trauma bay erupts in whispers. The locker room is empty and cold, fluorescent light buzzing overhead like an angry insect. Elena stands in front of her open locker, staring at the contents she's managed to ignore for 6 months. The photograph is still there. 5 people in desert fatigues, smiling like they didn't know what was coming. She reaches past it, pulls out a small wooden box from the back of the top shelf. The hinges creak when she opens it. Inside, a pair of captain's bars, tarnished, but still sharp-edged. A combat medical badge, a folded flag, triangle precise, colors faded from being touched too many times. And beneath it all, a set of dog tags that don't have her name on them. Lieutenant Sarah Jin, O positive, no religious preference. Elena's best friend, her right hand, the person who should have made it out of that convoy instead of her. Her fingers trace the embossed letters, and for a moment she's back in the sand, pulling these tags from a neck that had already gone cold, promising something she can't even remember anymore because the words got lost in the smoke and the screaming. She closes the box, leaves everything inside except the dog tags. Those she slips into her pocket. She walks out of the locker room and nearly collides with Dr. Blake in the hallway. He's standing there like he's been waiting, face caught between anger and something that might be shame. "You lied to us." Elena stops, doesn't step back. "I omitted. You let us treat you like a floor nurse when you're a trauma surgeon. You watched us struggle. You let Tanaka nearly kill that patient today when you could have. I wasn't here to be a surgeon. Then why were you here? She meets his eyes, and the exhaustion in her face is so profound, it makes him take a step back. Because I couldn't do it anymore. Because every time I picked up a scalpel, I saw their faces. Because I needed to be somewhere that didn't remind me of who I used to be. Blake opens his mouth, closes it, tries again. What happened over there? I lost my team. The words are simple, but the weight behind them is crushing. Rushing, Stephanie appears at the end of the hallway, moving slowly, cautiously. That wasn't your fault. Elena's laugh is sharp and humorless. You don't know that. You weren't there. I know you saved 12 people today. I know you saved that kid. I know you've been working here for 6 months, doing the worst jobs we have without a single complaint. Because I deserved them. The confession comes out before Elena can stop it. Stephanie shakes her head. That's not how it works. You don't understand. Elena's voice cracks. I was the commanding officer. I made the call to take that route. I'm the reason they're dead. I'm the reason Sarah. She stops, breathes, forces the emotion back down where it belongs. I walked away. They didn't. So yeah, I deserved every shit job, every dismissive comment, every moment of being invisible, because at least I'm still here to feel it. David has joined them now, standing at a distance, listening. His voice is quiet when he speaks. So you walked away here too. You hid. I tried. Marcus steps out of the med room, arms crossed. You're not hiding anymore. Elena looks around at all of them. These people who've worked beside her for 6 months without seeing her and now can't look away. I don't know how to be her anymore. The captain, the surgeon. That person died in the desert. No, she didn't. Stephanie's voice is firm. She's been here the whole time. We were just too stupid to notice. Dr. Blake clears his throat. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. For not seeing you. For wasting your skills. For... He stops, searching for words. For making you feel like you had to be invisible to be safe. Elena studies him for a long moment. You were scared. Fear makes people small. I get it. That doesn't make it right. No, but it makes it human. Colonel Marks appears at the entrance to the hallway, tablet in hand, patience clearly running thin. Captain, we need to move. Elena nods but doesn't move yet. She looks at each of them in turn. I have to go, but when I get back, she pauses. If I come back, I don't know if I can work here anymore. Why not? Marcus asks. Because now you know, and I can't go back to being invisible. Stephanie steps closer. Good. We don't want you invisible. We want you here, as yourself, all of yourself. You don't know what you're asking. Yes, we do. We're asking you to stop punishing yourself for being the one who survived. Stephanie's eyes are bright, fierce. We're asking you to stay. Elena's throat tightens. She looks away, blinking hard. I'll think about it. That's all we're asking. Colonel Marks clears her throat, louder this time. Captain. Elena straightens, and something shifts in her posture. Not quite military, not quite civilian. Something in between. 2 minutes, Colonel, I promise. She walks toward the exit, but Dr. Blake calls after her. Voss, she turns. Come back safe. For the first time in 6 months, Elena almost smiles. I'll try. She follows Colonel Marks out through the emergency department, past the trauma bays, still full of patients from the bus accident, past the nurses' station, where her abandoned charting still sits unfinished, past all the ordinary chaos of a place that's been her hiding spot, and her penance, and her prison, all at once. At the door, too. Oh, the ambulance bay, she stops. Looks back. The department continues without her. It always will. But for the first time, she realizes she doesn't want it to. She wants to be part of it. Really part of it. Not as a ghost, but as a person. She touches the dog tags in her pocket. Feels the edges press against her palm. I'm still here, Sarah, she whispers. I'm still fighting. Then she walks out into the afternoon sun, toward the waiting helicopter, toward whatever comes next. The rotors spin up. The noise swallows everything. And Elena Voss, captain, surgeon, survivor, lets herself be carried away. Behind her, through the glass doors, Stephanie stands watching until the helicopter is just a black dot against the sky. She's coming back, David says, coming to stand beside her. You sure? Yeah. He nods slowly. She's not running anymore. You can see it. Stephanie wipes her eyes. Good. Because we need her. We always did. We just didn't know it. Inside, the emergency department continues its endless rhythm. Patients arrive, patients leave. The work never stops. But something has shifted, something fundamental. The invisible woman became visible, and nothing will ever be the same. 72 hours pass like a held breath. The emergency department runs without Elena, the way it always has, but everyone feels the absence. Not because the work isn't getting done, but because now they know what they didn't see before. What they missed, who they failed to recognize. Stephanie stands at the nurse's station, third cup of coffee going cold in her hand, staring at a patient chart without reading it. David walks past, slows, stops. You hear anything? She shakes her head. Nothing. You? Marcus got an update from the colonel's office. They're still down south, running a field hospital out of a high school gym. 60 patients, no power. She's been operating for 2 days straight. Stephanie closes her eyes. Of course she has. They're saying she's saved at least 20 lives already, maybe more. That sounds about right. They stand in silence for a moment, the weight of their collective blindness sitting heavy between them. We really screwed this up, Stephanie says quietly. David nods. Yeah, we did. Across the department, Dr. Blake sits in his office, door closed, staring at his computer screen. The file open in front of him is Elena's service record, sent over by the Army Medical Command after Colonel Marks left. He's been reading it for an hour. Captain Elena Voss, medical doctor, board certified in emergency medicine, trauma surgery, and critical care. 316 documented saves in combat conditions, 2 Bronze Stars for valor, 1 Silver Star for sustained heroism under fire. There's a citation attached to the Silver Star. He reads it for the 3rd time. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity in action against an enemy of the United States, while serving as commander of a forward surgical team, Captain Voss, under heavy indirect fire and with complete disregard for her own safety, performed life-saving surgery on 4 critically wounded soldiers. When the compound came under direct attack, Captain Voss refused to evacuate until all patients were stabilized and prepared for transport. Her actions directly resulted in the survival of all 4. Our casualties. Beneath that, another notation. Medical discharge following traumatic incident. Sole survivor of convoy attack. Blake closes the file, presses his palms against his eyes. He's been in attending for 12 years. He thought he knew how to read people, how to assess talent, how to recognize value. He was wrong. A knock on the door. Marcus enters without waiting for permission. You wanted to see me? Blake gestures to the chair across from him. Marcus sits. When she gets back, Blake says, voice tired, I'm going to offer her a position, full attending in trauma surgery. She might not take it. I know, but I'm going to ask anyway. He pauses. And I'm going to apologize, formally, in front of the staff. Marcus raises an eyebrow. That's not usually your style. My style failed. Clearly. Blake looks at him. We had one of the most experienced trauma surgeons in the country, working as a floor nurse, and none of us noticed. That's not just an oversight, that's institutional blindness, and I'm responsible for it. We all are. Maybe, but I'm the one who sets the tone. Blake leans back in his chair. I want to implement a policy change. No more assumptions based on job titles. Mandatory skills assessments for all nursing staff, and a formal pathway for people to disclose additional qualifications without fear of judgment or disruption. Marcus considers this. That's a big change. It should have already been policy. You're right. It should have. They sit in silence for a moment, 2 men confronting the consequences of their own blindness. She's going to come back different, Marcus says. Different how? More herself, less hidden. Marcus stands. The question is whether we're ready for that. Blake doesn't have an answer. The days continue. The department adapts. But something fundamental has shifted in the culture, in the way people look at each other, in the questions they're willing to ask. Stephanie starts having lunch with the quiet nursing assistant who never speaks. Turns out she's a former paramedic with 15 years of experience who stepped back because of PTSD. David discovers that the environmental services worker cleaning the trauma bays is a former Army medic. They talk for an hour about things they've both seen and never had words for. Dr. Tanaka pulls up the files of every nurse on the floor and actually reads them. Really reads them. He finds 3 with advanced certifications they've never been asked to use. The invisible people become visible. Not because they changed, but because someone finally looked. On the 5th day, Stephanie's phone buzzes during a shift change. Unknown number. She opens the message. I'm coming back. E. Her breath catches. She shows David, shows Marcus, shows anyone within reach. The word spreads through the department like wildfire. She's coming back. By evening, everyone knows. The energy in the emergency department shifts, anticipation mixing with nervousness. No one's quite sure what to expect. Dr. Blake stands in the ambulance bay at 16:20, watching the street. He's not on shift. He doesn't have to be here. But he is. The doors open. Elena walks in. She's thinner, visibly exhausted, hair loose around her shoulders instead of pulled back tight. She's wearing cargo pants and a faded army t-shirt, boots covered in dust that might be from California or might be from somewhere much farther away, but her eyes are different, clearer, less haunted, more present. Stephanie sees her first, drops her tablet, runs. She collides with Elena in a hug that's too tight, too desperate, completely unprofessional. Elena stiffens for half a second, then slowly, carefully, hugs back. Don't you ever disappear like that again, Stephanie says, voice thick. Elena pulls back, looks at her. I won't. Promise? Promise. David approaches, nods in that understated way that carries more weight than words. Welcome back, Captain. Elena's jaw tightens, old instinct rising. Just Elena. You sure about that? She pauses, thinks. Ask me again in a week. David grins. Fair enough. Dr. Blake steps forward. The hallway goes quiet. They face each other, doctor and surgeon, ego in humility, failure and forgiveness standing in the space between them. Blake extends his hand. I owe you an apology. Elena looks at his hand, takes it. Okay, I was wrong. About you, about how I treated you, about everything. You were scared, Elena says quietly. Fear makes people small. I understand that. Understanding it doesn't excuse it. Blake's voice is steady, deliberate. I failed you as a colleague and as a leader. I'm sorry. Elena studies him for a long moment, then nods. Apology accepted. Blake takes a breath. Administration wants to offer you a position, full attending, trauma surgery. You'd have your own service, your own residence, full autonomy. Elena's breath catches. I don't know if I can. You already are. Stephanie steps closer. You've been doing it your whole life. You just weren't getting credit for it. That's not what I mean. Elena looks around at all of them. I don't know if I can be that person again. The surgeon, the captain, the one everyone depends on. Marcus speaks up from the back. You already are that person. You've been her the whole time. We were just too blind to see it. I'm broken, Elena says, and the honesty of it cuts through everything. So are we, David replies. Everyone here is carrying something. The question isn't whether you're broken. It's whether you're going to let that stop you from doing the work you were meant to do. Elena closes her eyes, touches the dog tags in her pocket. The ones she's carried every day for 6 years. She thinks about Sarah, about the team she lost, about the guilt she's been drowning in. But she also thinks about the kid in Bay 3, about Sergeant Rains, about the 60 people in that high school gym who are alive because she was there. She opens her eyes. Okay. The word is quiet, but it lands like thunder. Stephanie grins. Marcus nods. David claps once, loud and affirming. Dr. Blake extends his hand again. Welcome to the team. Dr. Voss. This time when Elena takes it, she doesn't let go right away. Thank you, she says, for giving me a reason to stop hiding. Thank you for coming back. She walks into the emergency department, and for the first time in 6 months, she doesn't fade into the background. She belongs here, and everyone knows it. 6 months later, the fluorescent lights still hum the same frequency, but the emergency department feels different now. Not in structure. Not in chaos, but in the way people move through it. The way they see each other. Elena Voss walks through the double doors at 6:20 in the morning, coffee in one hand, trauma surgery textbook tucked under her arm. Her ID badge reads, Elena Voss, MD, FACS, trauma surgery. She's in clean scrubs, hair pulled back but looser than before. face carrying the kind of tiredness that comes from purpose instead of penance. The night shift nurse passes her on the way out, offers a tired smile. "Quiet night, Dr. Voss." Elena shakes her head. "Don't say that word." The nurse grins. "Sorry. Good luck." At the nurse's station, Stephanie is finishing charting, eyes heavy but focused. She looks up when Elena approaches. "Morning." "Morning." Elena sets down her coffee. "Anything I should know about?" Bay 2 has a post-op abdominal wound dehiscence waiting for you. Bay 5 is a possible API. Scans are pending. And there's a consult request from upstairs for a trauma eval on a fall patient. Elena nods, already processing. "I'll start with Bay 2. Let me know when those scans come back." "Will do." It's easy now, natural, the rhythm of colleagues who trust each other. David walks past with a chart, raises his coffee cup in greeting. "Morning, Doc." "Morning, David." No hesitation, no hiding, just presence. The trauma bay doors burst open at 8:47. The familiar cascade of noise and urgency. Mass casualty. Building collapse downtown. 8 incoming. Elena doesn't flinch. She moves into position, ties her hair back tighter, pulls on gloves with the practiced efficiency of someone who's done this 1,000 times and will do it 1,000 more. Dr. Blake is already there, but he steps aside when Elena enters. "Voss, your lead." She nods once. The first stretcher rolls in, paramedics calling out vitals, mechanisms. Everything happening at once. Elena scans the patient in seconds. Open femur fracture, active arterial bleed, pressure dropping. Her voice cuts through the chaos, calm and absolute. Bay 1, Ortiz, tourniquet high and tight, right thigh. Stephanie, 2 large bore IVs, push a leader wide open. Blake, I need O negative, 4 units, now. Everyone moves like they've choreographed it. Fast, precise, coordinated. Elena leans over the patient, a young man, early 20s. Eyes wide with terror and pain. She makes eye contact, holds it. "Hey, look at me. You're going to be okay. I've got you." He believes her. Because she means it. Because she's done this before. Because she doesn't make promises she can't keep. The bleeding slows under the tourniquet. The IVs flow. The vitals stabilize. Elena moves to the next patient without pause, already assessing, already 3 steps ahead. This is what she was made for. Not the hiding. Not the penance. This. The surgery lasts 4 hours. Complex vascular repair. Internal fixation. The kind of work that requires absolute focus and hands that don't shake. Elena's don't. When she scrubs out, Dr. Tanaka is waiting outside the OR. "That was incredible." Elena shrugs, tired but satisfied. "That was Thursday." Tanaka laughs. "You're still teaching the trauma fellowship lecture next week, right?" "Yeah. You coming?" "Wouldn't miss it. Half the residents are terrified of you, you know." Elena raises an eyebrow. "Good." "Odd. Fear keeps you sharp. That's what my drill sergeant used to say." "Your drill sergeant was right." They walk together toward the locker room, easy conversation between colleagues who've earned each other's respect. The rooftop is empty at 2 in the afternoon, the city sprawling below in sunlight and smog and endless motion. Elena stands at the edge, hands in her pockets, wind pulling at her hair. She reaches in, pulls out the dog tags, Sarah's dog tags. She's carried them every single day for 6 years, a weight that became part of her. She holds them up to the light, watches them spin slowly. "I'm still here, Sarah," she says quietly. "I'm still fighting. I think you'd be proud of that. Or maybe you'd tell me I'm an idiot for waiting this long." The wind carries her words away. She tucks the tags back into her pocket. But this time, the weight feels different. Not lighter exactly, just easier to carry. The door behind her opens. Stephanie steps out, hesitates. "You okay?" Elena turns, nods. "Yeah, I am." "Good." Stephanie walks over, stands beside her. "Because we've got 3 more traumas incoming, a surgical consult from the ICU, and Blake wants to talk to you about expanding the trauma program." Elena takes a breath, lets it out slowly, smiles. "Let's go." They walk back inside together, leaving the quiet behind for the noise and chaos and purpose waiting below. The emergency department hums with life. Monitors beep. Voices overlap. Controlled chaos that never stops, never slows, never apologizes for what it demands. Elena moves through it with certainty now. Not invisible, not hidden, present. She stops at the nurse's station. Marcus hands her a tablet. Incoming GSW. 2 minutes out. Elena takes it, scans the information, nods. "Let's get to work." She walks toward the trauma bay, steady and sure, the person she was always meant to be, finally aligned with the person she's become. The doors open, she steps through, and the work continues, because it always does, because people need help, because she's finally stopped running from the one thing she's always been good at, saving lives. The screen fades to black, but before it does, text appears. To those who serve in silence, to those who carry what others cannot see, to those who refuse to quit, even when the world forgets your name. You are seen, you matter, your fight is not over. If you're hiding from who you used to be, remember this: the world needs your gifts, not your guilt. The people you couldn't save would want you to save the ones you can. Stop punishing yourself for surviving. Start living for the ones who didn't get the chance. Your story isn't over, it's just beginning. The emergency department continues in the background, endless and essential, the place where broken people go to be made whole again. Where Elena Voss finally stopped hiding and started healing. Where the invisible became undeniable. Where a nurse became a surgeon, became herself. The rhythm of the monitors steadies into a single tone, like a heartbeat, constant and strong. And then, silence. Not the silence of ending, the silence of breath before beginning again. Elena stands in the trauma bay, gloves on, ready. A life hangs in the balance. She doesn't hesitate. She never will again. Fade to black. End.